All right, guys. Welcome, everybody. If this is the first time you're joining me, this is the Saving Africa Uncensored. Of course, I'm from Sierra Leone, but I try to touch on every issue or as much as I could across Africa. Because one thing that I can tell you as an African, most of the problems that we have is very similar across every African country. The level of corruption, dictatorship, suppression of opposition, suppression of free speech, with the exception of very few countries. So I just want to put that out there. But what I want to do for you guys is for my brothers and sisters that are still, hopeful about the American dream. You still want to come to overseas. You feel like there's a greener pasture over here. You feel like without you coming to overseas, there's no hope for you in Africa. Basically, if that's what you're thinking, if that's how you're thinking, I want to tell you that those days are over. I'm not going to tell you that. I'm not going to discourage you, say don't come to America or don't go to Europe. I'm not going to discourage you. But the times that we are living in right now, your best bet is to stay in Africa, defend your democracy, stand up to your leaders, demand more, ask for more. Because the American dream is over for, not only for people that are living in the United States, but if you think that you're going to come from anywhere of the world, any parts of the world to come and settle in the United States or Europe and, you know, um, uh, think everything is going to be smooth, no, you're going to have a rude awakening because it's tough. Folks in the United States and this parts of the world, and there's a lot of people that are going through extremely hardships. No jobs, it's very difficult. Some people have applied for over 600 jobs and they've not even gotten called once. And these are professionals, highly, educated and have the skill set and everything. So times are tough. So for my brothers and sisters, this is why I want to do this. I want to talk to you. But before I do that, let me play this video. Listen to this, and then I'll, talk to you again. All right? Let's listen to this together.
The American dream. What is that? Whatever it is and whatever it used to be is now dead. There is no American dream. The American dream used to be you were young, you got a job. College or no college, you got a job, you started working. You saved up money. You found somebody, bought a house or built a house, had a couple kids, had a little piece of property. The problem is now, today, that's unattainable. You can't get that. So 99% of people now live in apartments because you can't buy a house. You can't own a home and have a family and support your family on one income. Back then, like in 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, usually the husband or the father worked. Mother stayed home with the kids. That's not even a thing anymore. Now two people got to work. And if you don't, it's not easy. It's a struggle. But the American dream is dead. Unfortunately, that's not a thing anymore. All we can do now is just try to get into one day to the next and kind of hope for the best and just get up, go to work, go to sleep, get up, go to work, go to sleep, get up, go to work, go to sleep. And that's it. That's the American dream.
All right, guys. So basically, what he's saying here is, and again, I know a lot of my brothers and sisters are going to be like, tell you what, I'll come there and I'll survive. I'm an African. We all have that mentality because I grew up in Africa as well. That's the way we think. I'm going to come there. I'm going to make it. Don't worry about them. These people, they even say he say, oh, Americans are lazy and this and that and all that stuff. What the gentleman is saying here, as far as, like the housing, for example, my friend, I guarantee you, if you come from Africa to want to settle in the United States right now, and if you don't have a family member that's going to be kind to you to provide housing for you, there is no job that you're going to work that would be able to pay your housing, your rent, your apartment rent. Because, of course, buying a house, that's far fetched for you. If you come to the United States today, buying a house, you would not be able to buy a house. Again, if you come with some PhD and you already have a great job and you come here and they start paying you over $150,000, yes. But we all know that that's not a reality for you to just come to the United States and just automatically find something like that. If you come as a business person who already has money, okay, yes, you can do whatever you want to do. But I'm speaking for the average African American brother and sister, young, vibrant, has the energy, They know their potential. They believe in themselves. This is for you. You are the people that I'm talking to. You know, you might have graduated college, no job for you. You're struggling. There's no way. You don't see any lights at the end of the tunnel in your various African countries where you find yourself. I'm talking to you. I guarantee you right now in the United States of America, and again, I'm going to put this there because I don't want you to say, you know, that this guy is telling me not to come to America because he's in America. What do you think? Oh, because you're in America, so I shouldn't come there. You know, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying to you, if you want to come, if there's a way for you to come to America, go to Europe, do it. I'm not going to stop you. Who am I to stop you? But I'm telling you now, times have changed. We're not even talking about the politics because that's one part of it, right? Of course, for a lot of countries like Sierra Leone, as an example, where I'm from, right now, you cannot even travel to Sierra Leone, to the United States of America, because Sierra Leone is on the banned list of countries that were banned. You all know there's 16 countries that were banned, from, coming. So Sierra Leone is one of those countries. So of course, there's no visa for my brothers and sisters. Even the DV, the lottery has been, shut down. Immigration, has been shut down. So all of that stuff is shut down. So there's no way for you to even come to the United States right now if you're in Sierra Leone. But if you're in any other country, go check the status of your country if you should still have visa to come to the United States. But I'm talking to you, young brothers and sisters. Stay in Africa. Right now is not the time to come overseas. It is tough. It is rough. You're going to suffer. Except if you have, again, like I said, you have your mom or your dad. But even that, life is tough for a lot of them. Rents are increasing every day. The bills, utility bills are increasing every day. Electricity, talking about water bill, your internet, all of these basic services. Yes, we have 24-hour electricity. I cannot tell you, I don't want to put my own financial business out there, but I guarantee you what I pay, electric, water, internet, gas, all of that bill put together. Yes, I'm making that money to pay that bill, but I guarantee you, some of you can live on that for what I pay a month, you can live on that for at least 4, 5, 6 months in Africa, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not even talking about what I pay for mortgage, right? What I pay for my house that I'm in. So I want to talk to you. Stay back home in Africa. It's time you guys, as young people, stand up to defend your democracies in Africa. Hold your leaders accountable. Yes, we saw what happened in Tanzania. So I'm not going to take that away from you because they're going to kill you. They'll shoot you. The moment you stand up, these guys, they've entered a new realm of I don't care, because they know that they can get away with it for now, especially now, being that America is not paying so much attention to Africa to help the people of Africa, hold their governments accountable. We've seen what happened in Tanzania recently. Over 2,000 or 3,000 young people lost their lives. And right now, we don't even hear about that on the news. All of the families that lost their loved ones, young men, young women, that came out and said, we want to defend our democracy, which is their democratic right, because it's protected by the Constitution. So I get it and I understand. But you're in a precarious situation. But you're better off in Africa. You're better off than coming over here right now, because there'll be nothing for you. Back in the days when I came here, 15, 16 years ago, it is easy for you to get into something. Get a job, no matter how small it is, and you can afford to have a rent. You can afford to pay for an apartment. But these days, even if they pay you $16, $17 an hour, which you'll be very lucky if you come here and start making that kind of money, right? You would not be able to afford not even a single, bedroom apartment by yourself. You would have to have roommates. And that's not something like that's just going to last for a short while. I guarantee you'd have to live with roommates for the longest. Let's say you come by yourself, you're single. That's going to be your situation. Let's say you come with your wife and you have children. Imagine what it's like to start living with total strangers. You go to work and leave your wife, or wife goes to work and leave the husband with all these strangers. And now you have to deal with some of the eventualities that come with stuff like that. Recently, I was looking at a video on YouTube where a young guy and his girlfriend, they rented a bedroom in a house. The young guy went to work and the girlfriend stayed home, was home. One of the new tenants that came actually murdered that wife because he tried to rape her. And of course, so for her to be silent, he decided to kill her. So you have to deal with all those kinds of situations. Because if you have your wife, you have your children, you don't want to leave your wife and your children with total strangers. Those are some of the downsides of coming to America or traveling to Europe right now, because you will not be able to afford to live that life to where you can afford to have an apartment, rent an apartment, where the cheapest apartments these days, and when I say cheap, I'm being very, very, subtle with that. Probably it's like 1,500 a month, and that is in certain areas, and those areas are even more rough for you to go and live your life, and that's not what you want, because you want to live in a decent neighborhood. So in a decent neighborhood, like the area like where I live at, the cheapest apartment for rent, probably a 2 bedroom, is not going to be less than $2,000. So by the time you pay $2,000, I assume you have a car. You might have health insurance for you and your family, because those days of America giving out, handouts for medical and I don't know if you guys have heard about SNAP, food benefits and stuff like that. Those days are over in the United States as well, right now, currently, especially under the Trump administration. So when you come here, you better have your boots strapped. So you might be lucky if you have your parents here, your mom, your dad, and you're gonna have that support system. But even that, at some point, they get tired. It'll be all rosy and beautiful for the first month or two, but believe it or not, after that, they want you to go start making some money so you can come help them pay those bills. The water that you use, the electricity that you use, and everything that you're doing, you now have to contribute to that household. And if you become a liability, that's when families break up. It used to be bad, but now it's even more worse. So that's why I'm telling you, if you're in Africa, my brothers and sisters, stay in Africa. Don't think I'm telling you because, I'm in America, so I don't want you to come to America. Come if you want to come. You're going to carry your own cross. I wouldn't be there when you come, but you're going to remember everything I tell you. I'm not going to tell you that the American dream is dead, because you can still make it in this country, but it's a lot difficult these days. It is not easy. Even Americans that are experienced now don't have jobs. People are looking for the same jobs that back in the day, you did not have to compete for those kinds of jobs, like those warehouse jobs, which are great jobs. Don't get me wrong, right? But back in the day, you didn't have to compete as much. But now there are Americans that would not do those jobs in the past. Now they're looking for jobs like those. So the competition is heavy. And that is why I'm telling you, when I shared that video that I shared with you guys, I'm telling you that stay in Africa. I don't care what African country you're from. You're better off in Africa right now than trying to come overseas. You are going to feel the pinch. You're going to feel the burn. Everything is expensive. I don't even want to tell you in my situation. And I can tell you this, because again, I'm married, right? I have my wife. Me, my wife. Of course, as the man, I've been fortunate. God has put me in a position where I could take care of all of her bills without, even if my wife doesn't work. She might just not have enough money to spend on herself, but I can afford to pay all the bills. Thank God for that. I have my kids. My middle son is 17 now. He has his own car that I bought for him. He can drive. Do you know what it means to add your child to the insurance in America? My auto insurance alone could pay a rent every month. Am I happy about that? No. Well, yes, you'd say, well, you're the one who owns all those cars. Yes, I own those cars because, again, it's what I want. They work for me. I have a utility vehicle. I have my nice little vehicle. My wife has his, and my son. So 4 vehicles. And plus adding a minor who's a 17-year-old to your insurance. That alone shoots your insurance to like $300-400 a month. So by myself, my auto insurance alone is over $1,000. And I'm saying that because, again, God makes the provision. It is a tough thing to do. Am I looking at how I can cut that down? Yes. I'm fervently looking into that. Because for me to be paying over $12,000 every year just on auto insurance alone, it's a pain. I feel that. It's like money being burnt. But everything is expensive these days. And that is why I'm telling you, don't come here. You're going to suffer. Yes, you might think you're in America, but I see people all the time. They're in America, but they are better off just going back home to Africa. I guarantee you, I see it. You go to Washington, D.C., you see it. You see these people suffering. I don't like to see my African people in the streets homeless when they could be back home, at least living a little bit of a life with some amount of dignity, as opposed to being out here homeless when it's cold as it is, frigid weather. Go open up a freezer and put your hand in that freezer and stay there for like put your hand for 2 minutes. Feel that kind of cold. That's how cold it gets. And you're exposed to those kinds of extreme temperature being homeless. So I'm talking to you, my brothers and sisters. As you can see, again, follow and subscribe. This is Africa, Saving Africa Uncensored. African leaders, opposition leaders, some countries, they've all come together. They don't care about moving the countries forward because it's about them. So you're going to continue to suffer. In Africa, it's going to take a revolution to get Africa to where it should be. It's going to take a massive revolution. I can see that. And it's going to happen. But at some point, it's the people that have to make it happen. Yes, I know governments have their soldiers and all of that stuff, but you young people, you better start thinking about how you can save yourselves and make sure you have the leaders that are supposed or, have what it takes to lead you, that have empathy, sympathy, that believe in a future. Like when you take Ibrahim Traore, we've seen recently there was another coup d'etat against Ibrahim Traore. But these are some of the things I want you guys to pay attention to. But coming overseas, the American dream, it is no more. I'm not going to tell you it's not there, but it's a lot harder for you to get it. And that is what I want to point out to you guys. And that is what I want you to understand, every one of you. It is crucial. It is vital that you know these kinds of things. So don't be fooled. Don't let nobody tell you, oh, you have to come to America or this or that. No, don't do it. You cannot afford rent. You cannot afford having an auto insurance. Buying a car. Again, you have to have a support system. If you have a wife who's been here longer, fine. If your husband and your wife is coming to join you, there is that base, there is that foundation. But now remember, every time you add somebody else, the responsibility becomes more. The water that you use adds up. If the other person is going to have a car, it adds up. The rent, of course, stays the same, but it's already expensive anyways. Because even if you live in a single bedroom, a studio with one bedroom and this and that, you're paying over $1,000 already. And they are. And nobody's jobs is guaranteed these days with everything that is happening. So it's something to look out for. And that is why I want to talk to you all, my African brothers and sisters. Please stay back home. Defend your democracy. 2026 is going to be rough. 2026 is not the year you want to try to come overseas. You'll be captured at these borders. They'll manhandle you and mistreat you for nothing. You'll suffer. I've heard some of the grueling stories of some of our brothers and sisters, trying to cross, the Sahara Desert or going through Mauritania, going through Libya, how they were captured, kidnapped for ransom money and all that kinds of stuff. Women getting raped, girls. We've heard of all of those. Now you come overseas, they're packing you up and shipping you back out. Deportation, no questions asked. You don't want to be sent to El Salvador at this maximum prison over there that, it's when you enter that prison, they tell you welcome to hell. You don't want to be that person. I'm telling you guys these facts, but some of you are going to try still. Some of you don't listen. You're in Africa, you're busy partying. The other day I saw a video of some of these Sierra Leonean kids, and one of our artists, LAJ is his name. This guy was performing, and you see these young people there miming with the words, singing, and it's like you could tell this is a lost generation. You can tell it's a lost generation. I saw them, LJ was performing, and LJ is an artist, he's an artist back home in Sierra Leone, and he was performing, and you see these young people, just, I say this in Africa, no young person should be having fun right now. That should be the last thing that should be on your mind. No young person. But you say, oh man, what are you talking about? Huh? We got to have fun too. What is your problem? But I guarantee you, you see these young people groveling, towards these artists. I can show you as an example that this is LAJ. He's a Sierra Leonean artist. See all these young people attending these events? All of these young people attending these events, they have the money to go and pay to attend these events. This is in Sierra Leone. This is in Sierra Leone. So I'm just saying, the fact of the matter remains, I want you all to understand that the direction that we're going, those days are over. Those days are over. Young people should be serious a little bit. Because, and again, no flex against the musicians and the artists. But as young people, these artists, these musicians, they have a responsibility to actually stand in front of you. If Africa is going to be what it should be, they should be the ones that should be leading protests with you guys coming behind them to demand more and toppling governments and removing governments from power. Because again, a lot of you young people believe in them, but they're not going to do it. But at the end of the day, they're exploiting you guys to make money so that they can continue to live the life that they want to live. Whilst you continue to suffer, your future is dimmed and gloomed. It's doomed and gloomed. You have no bright future. Your generation behind you is going to suffer. Your children that you're going to give birth to, they're going to suffer. But these musicians that you guys are giving your monies to, they're living the life. You guys have to think about this. So when you stop attending these concerts, these music festivals, again in Africa, nobody should be having fun, because there's got to be a better way. When you look at over 70% of the population, most young people today, you go to ask them, do you want to go overseas? 70% of the young people in most of these African countries want to leave their countries of birth. Go to Sierra Leone today. I'm telling you, sometimes it brings back memories of, I sometimes sit back and say, like, this was how slavery started, because they saw the opportunity. And there's a video that I actually have on my page that I posted that I think it's best I share with you. But you're beginning to think like, this is how, slavery started, because, these people, African leaders, were the ones that actually sold off our people, because there was no opportunities. So it got to the point where the people are willing to put themselves on the line. Why? Because they feel like that's the only opportunity that they have. Let me play this video for you where this guy is talking about recolonizing Africa again once more. And I'm telling you, a lot of African countries, including Sierra Leone, if you ask the people of Sierra Leone, they'll rather be colonized again than have some of the leaders that they have. But then that raises a good point too, because at the end of the day, and I'm going to show you this. Let me show you guys this.
If so many of these countries around the world are incapable of governing themselves, then it's time for us to just put the imperial hat back on to say, we're going to govern those countries if you're incapable of governing yourselves, because enough is enough. We're done being invaded.
Because our own national security risk is at stake.
Exactly.
National security interests are at stake.
You can say that about pretty much all of Africa. They're incapable of governing themselves and benefiting their citizens, because the governments there are all about looting and pillaging and lining their pockets and going shopping in Paris instead of.
All right, hold on a second.
You see that? So again, this is how sometimes what is happening right now, I guarantee you, it is history repeating itself. And we can go back, to the 1600s when slavery started, 1619, when they started going to Africa and taking our people and bringing them over here. And for 400 years, we suffered. You're looking at it. That is what is actually happening again. I can guarantee you that is what this looks like. Because right now, our people in Africa are willing to sell themselves off just to come overseas and live a better life, because the leaders in Africa, like you hear this guy saying, don't really care, because all they do, your leaders in governments, the opposition, they've all come together. They know that all they got to do is pillage the resources in that country, destroy it, whilst they're giving their wives, their children, their husbands, the life of luxury, flying overseas, shopping in Paris, America, Germany, all over the place, Italy, Spain, they're traveling. You people are suffering, you're struggling. And this is why I think, again, it's like, we are better off. Are we better off having them coming back and taking? And that's what it's beginning to look like. I can guarantee you guys, Africans, in the next 5 to 10 years, what is wrong if America just goes to Sierra Leone today and say we're going to take this colony back? What is wrong with that? I guarantee you, Sierra Leone will be a lot more developed in 10 years than it would if it stays in the hands of these guys for another 50 years. I guarantee you, if these guys like the United States would go back and take over countries like Sierra Leone, I promise you, it would be a lot more advanced. We would live a better life. Sierra Leoneans would be better off. Because for the next 60 to 100 years, Sierra Leone is going to be the same, and a lot of African countries would not change. The circumstances of people is going to be the same. I guarantee you that. So for this post, I want to share this with you guys.
You're going to watch this. They're going to say, wait a minute, Eric Prince is talking about being a colonialist again.
Absolutely.
Bear with me, guys. Let me show you this.
Enough, because if you go to these countries and you see how they suffer under absolutely corrupt, made-up governments that are just criminal syndicates, the people of Africa, the people of Latin America, a lot of them deserve better. Now, if so many...
Right. So let's read this comment. When I posted this video, this guy made a very brilliant comment, Mo Chelsea. It said, the problem now is when capable leaders ascend to power, the same people that are saying African cannot govern themselves can either kill or overthrow them and install puppets incapable. And he gave examples: Nkrumah, Lumumba, Gaddafi, Sankara. When Guinea decided to gain full independence from and not to use the CFA, France destroyed Guinea in Operation Persil, where France printed billions of counterfeit Guinea franc and decimated in the country through Ivory Coast and Senegal and destroyed the economic and the country at birth. Olympia of Togo was murdered for trying to govern his country. Is there corruption that is hindering development? Yes, but Western interference was the biggest obstacles. Ibrahim Traore, who took power a few years ago, has already survived over 20 coups and assassinations for trying to have full independence. When authoritarian democratic regimes commit electoral and constitutional coups, the West embraces them with open hands as long as they pave the way exploitation in the expense of their people. If the British were able to do the same to America, what Europe has done to Africa, assassinations of the founding fathers, installed puppets regimes that dance to the British, support secessionists, denial the U.S. access to machinery at that time, denied the U.S. access to machinery at that time. Do you think you will have an exceptional United States today? It's asking a great question. Eric Prince was right about the corruption, but he didn't talk about the big picture. He also should remember that a slave army defeated the most sophisticated European army in 80, which led to the bankruptcy of France that left to Napoleon selling Louisiana to the U.S., taking over Africa today like the 1800s, more than impossible. So my brother made a good point there, because what he's saying is, yes, it is true that there's massive corruption, stealing of elections. But like, for example, in Sierra Leone, June 24th, 2023 elections, the election was stolen. And Julius Maada Bio is still in power. Julius Maada Bio is still in power today. It was not kicked out because he's a puppet. He's giving America, the finance, the energy sector of Sierra Leone. We're hearing billions of dollars that have gone out of, into the drains and nothing to show for. Up till now, we still don't have 24-hour electricity. We don't have electricity across the country. It's giving Russia some of the fishing. It's giving China the mining. So it's a puppet for the Western world. So it can rig elections for as long as you want. It can install people in power that you want. And nothing is going to change that until the people rise up and stand up and say enough is enough. So that is what we have in Africa. So yes, my brother has a point, because now look at Ibrahim Traore. Now that Ibrahim Traore is loved by his people and is doing everything he could to transform the lives of Burkinabés, what are they trying to do? France is trying to get him assassinated. So that is the problem. So yes, both ways, there's pros and cons to everything. But I guarantee you, for most of these countries, at this point, the people cannot do anything except if they take up arms against these states, because now when people vote, it doesn't count. So again, I'd rather I'd rather, because the only option that people have in Africa is to have a rebellion, a rebel war. And that is why you've seen the rise of insurgencies across Africa. The only way Africa is going to improve and give its people what they deserve is through rebellion. It's going to be rebel wars again. So to avoid that and have, innocent lives being taken, I think it's best for the Western powers, like the United States, take over Sierra Leone and say, you know what? Yes, there might be some things that we want from you, but we're going to make sure, that we fix this country so your people do not have to come and disturb and torment, us in the United States or overseas, because this is a thing of national security as well. Because we're being flooded today in America. Everybody wants to come to America because there is nothing happening in their countries of birth. So if America can take over Sierra Leone and say, you know what? Yes, we're going to fix this country. Take over a lot of these African countries. Take them over. America has what it takes. Install leaders that they know they want for them to work for them. I'm not saying me, but for example, I've served in the United States military. I could be a good candidate for something like that. Get installed by the US government, and so that we can improve the lives of our people. Our people don't want much. We just want 24-hour electricity, clean drinking water. Is that a lot to ask for? We just want hospitals. We want good schools for our kids. We have everything. Sierra Leone has gold, diamond, bauxite, rutile. We've even found oil in Sierra Leone. That is what we're asking for. So again, if we have the right colonial masters that are going to let us prosper, I think this time we could do it, because the people have no choice. The people go to vote, they kill them. You vote, your votes are stolen. So what is the point? The only option we have is to have a rebellion, take up arms against the states. And what's going to happen? Thousands and thousands of people are going to lose their lives. Whilst America could come in and say, you know what, Sierra Leone, we're taking over today. Get out. Your system is broken. We're taking over everything. We build the military from the bottom. We build the police. We build all the, institutions in that country so that we can have proper democracy. Wipe away tribalism, because that is what is killing Africa. We can do it. So the problems across Africa is pretty much the same. And that is why I want to talk to you guys. I want you to remember this. Let us stay back home and build Africa. America is not what it used to be. All right? I don't want you guys to suffer. Because if you try to come to these Western nations now, everybody's going through a hardship. United Kingdom, they're suffering there. This economies are trash right now. Privatization, nationalization, these are all the topics that are being discussed. A lot of these powers, the concentration of wealth in only the hands of few. And we see that in America as well. Elon Musk, who owns Tesla, is about to be the first trillionaire in the world. You know what that means? One man, concentration of power. Whilst people suffer. Stay in Africa and build Africa. All right? I'll leave it right here, guys. Have a good one. Bye-bye, everybody. All right. I'll talk to you guys maybe tomorrow again. Bye-bye.